Hey guys, it's Sandro here, and today's video is a head-to-head challenge reviewing 5 of the most popular spray and rinse paint sealants on the market, including Carpro Hydro2 Gyeon Wet Coat, Bowdens Own Wet Dreams 303 Touchless Sealant, and Fireball Premium Easy Coat. Now in a nutshell, the purpose of these spray sealants is to provide a super quick and easy way to add a layer of protection to your vehicle, by basically wetting your car's clean paint, spraying on the sealant and immediately rinsing it off. However, if you're a regular viewer to this channel, you know that I try to explore and test each product beyond what the manufacturer recommends, and this video won't be any different, in that I'm going to use and test all these sealants both as the manufacturer recommends and also a little beyond that to try and discover as much as I can about them and share that with you guys so that you can make the most informed decision when it comes to selecting and buying them. And beyond the tests and comparisons that you're going to see in this video, I'm also going to add my past experience with these sealants to try and give fair and more well-rounded opinions and conclusions based on their performance, evaluating things such as their ease of use, hydrophobic water behaviour, chemical resistance, slickness, and their ability to add gloss to automotive paint. And just before we get to the testing, I'll lastly add that it was quite a bit of work and at times a real pain trying to effectively mask the test panels you're about to see so that I could get some accurate results to show you guys and keep everything as fair and consistent as possible. So I really hope all the work was worth the effort in the end and it helps some of you out. Now apart from Carpro Hydro2, which comes as a concentrate and was diluted with 6 parts water, all the other sealants are ready to use straight from the bottle. On this first white test panel, I'm basically using all the spray sealants as recommended by most of the manufacturers, which is applying them to clean, bare, wet paint, spraying the solution straight onto the panel and then immediately rinsing it off. And I'm applying all the sealants side by side on each panel so that there's less variables and also so that it's easier to visually judge the individual performance. You guys can have a quick look at the water behaviour as I go from section to section with each sealant, but we'll also have another look at all the panels a little later on in the video, at which time I'll talk more about their hydrophobic water behaviour. But as you'll hopefully be able to see, while I'm applying all 5 sealants on this panel, they do all in fact have the ability to penetrate the standing water on the panel, which is really important for a spray and rinse sealant. And they're also all able to improve the water behaviour in relation to water contact angles and water shedding rates. On this second red test panel, I used a slight variation in my method, which was similar in the sense that I also firstly wet the panel and also sprayed each sealant directly in each section. But then instead of rinsing it straight off, I wiped it down with a microfiber cloth and buffed it streak free. Now as far as I know, Bowdens Own Wet Dreams is the only manufacturer that additionally recommends using this method. But I also know that based on past comments and conversations I've had, that there are a few of you out there that do use these spray sealants over wet paint in a similar manner as I'm displaying here, and almost a little like using them as a drying aid. But as I mentioned before, I like to explore every product I'm testing a little further than what's necessarily recommended, and as you'll hopefully see later on, there's always great valuable information that comes with this testing, even if it's not necessarily the way you wish to use this product. So let's get a little more into evaluating the results of these sealants, starting with their ability to reduce friction and add slickness to automotive paint. Now as you guys have a look at my old ceramic coating bottle sliding up and down each section, I'm going to give you my thoughts and experience of their performance in this area. Firstly, although these sealants were able to increase the white panel's slick feel and behaviour compared to the bare paint, I wouldn't say that any of them used in the spray and rinse method left an overly silky smooth feel compared to using a more standard spray and wipe paint sealant or method. The thing is that although the water behaviour and the finish both look and perform quite consistently when you use these sealants in a spray and rinse method, the feel is a little different and not quite as consistent or uniform. When I run my hands over the paint, I can feel some areas are a little smoother than others, and some areas are actually a little grippy in each and every section with each and every sealant. So compared to using a sealant that's wiped down, it's just extremely difficult to achieve that same silky smooth and uniform finish with the spray and rinse method. And as you would have hopefully seen, this causes the ceramic coating bottle to be quite inconsistent, sometimes gliding down and sometimes catching a grippy area in each section. But in complete contrast, the red panel that was completed with a spray and wipe application had a completely uniform and consistent finish. And what's more, it's way slicker and smoother, with noticeably less friction, as you guys can hopefully also see in the footage. But in saying all of that, there was still some noticeable differences with each and every sealant in how they felt to the touch and how easy and quickly the ceramic coating bottle glided along them. On the white panel, using the spray and rinse application, Fireball seemed to leave the most consistent finish with reduced friction, closely followed by Carpro Hydro2 and Gyeon Wet Coat. While in the spray and wipe application, I have to say that Bowdens' own Wet Dreams was clearly ahead of the rest in terms of slickness, with Carpro, Gyeon and Fireball all at very similar levels. And the one thing that seemed to stay true and consistent throughout my testing was that 303 Touchless Sealant definitely had a bit more grab and reduced slickness compared to all the rest. The next area of testing was gloss, or the sealant's ability to amplify the look of the paint. Now, although I could definitely see differences in each of these sealants' ability to add noticeable gloss to the paint, it unfortunately just wasn't showing up on camera as well as I'd like. So I decided to do another test panel, but this time using the sealant on black paint and also using them on dry paint to hopefully have the results come up a little clearer on camera, and also to yet again explore the limits of these sealants. Now, just before I get to the gloss results, I'm going to quickly discuss application and user experience. Firstly, I really don't recommend you use these sealants on dry paint, especially in this spray and wipe method, as it's just a horrible user experience and it takes forever to achieve a streak-free finish. That is, with the exception of Wet Dreams, that quite honestly seems to work very well on both wet and dry paint, and both as a spray and rinse and spray and wipe application. Now, I'm not saying that you will or won't potentially have issues by using it in this manner, but I am saying that I personally had no issues, and if someone told me that it could be used in this way on dry paint, I'd believe them. But apart from that, I've also noticed while using all these spray sealants outdoors, that Wet Dreams is a lot more forgiving when working in direct sunlight, with less chance of streaks in the finish based on my testing. And I'd also say it's very similar to the experience I've had with Carpro Hydro2 Light, in that it's a more sun-friendly application. Though once again, I really don't recommend you use any of these sealants in direct sunlight or on hot panels. Now, as we have a look at the results in relation to the sealant's ability to add gloss and saturation, there is a clear winner here in my eyes, which is 303 Touchless Sealant. That really has noticeably darkened and boosted the gloss levels of the paint, which is honestly what I've also experienced with it on most car paint that I've applied it to. Just a step or two behind in second place really has to go to Gyeon Wet Coat, that I have to say has vastly improved its gloss levels with this new formula compared to the original. And third place is really a three-way tie, with Carpro, Bowdens' own and Fireball all definitely improving the look of the paint, but just not quite to the same level of the other two. Now, with all three panels being placed outdoors for some hydrophobic water behaviour and chemical testing, I'm going to say that the results were definitely quite interesting. I'll let you guys have a quick look and then I'll jump in with my thoughts. One thing that is definitely unquestionable is that all the spray sealants work dramatically better if you give the sealant a wipe down with a microfiber cloth. The water behaviour on the red and black panels that were wiped down is just miles ahead of the water behaviour on the white panel that wasn't wiped down and was just used in a spray and rinse application. So my advice with all these sealants, if you do want to achieve the best performance, is to wipe that first base layer in, and then you can use them as a touchless spray and rinse application down the track, or even over other existing waxes, sealants and coatings. However, although I wanted to show and point this out, I don't want to dwell on this point, as after all, these are spray and rinse sealants with super quick and super easy applications, and they do ultimately still work relatively well in this spray and rinse application. And lastly on this point, you can certainly increase their performance by doing multiple layers in a spray and rinse application, though you do end up using a lot more product, making them far more expensive. Now, as far as which of these sealants does have better hydrophobic behaviour in relation to water bead contact angles and rapid water sheeting, I'd have to say that in all the paint sealant reviews I've done to date, this was the closest water behaviour and chemical resistant results I've ever seen, meaning that they were all very, very close. So as you guys continue to have a look at the water beads and water sheeting, as I use a few different water beams and spray patterns to assess the results, if I had to say there was a particular sealant that had slightly nicer looking beads with slightly more pronounced contact angles, I'd say it would be 303 Touchless Sealant. And if I had to say which sealant seemed to be sheeting the water off the panel just a little faster than the rest, I'd say it would be Carpro Hydro2. But as I mentioned, and as you can hopefully see, it's really, really close. As far as chemical resistance goes, there's once again no clear winner or loser, which if you have seen a few of my past product testing videos, this usually isn't the case. Now all of the sealants on all of the panels were definitely affected by the degreaser, though certainly not entirely stripped off. But based on what I was seeing, and hopefully what you can also see, Carpro Hydro2 seemed to hold up just a touch better than the rest, sheeting the water a little quicker after the chemical treatment, but it was in no way a crystal clear winner. And beyond that, the rest of the sealants were quite close. So I'm just going to wrap up this video by giving you guys my thoughts on each of these sealants, starting with Carpro. Hydro 2 has been around forever, and it may be fair to say that it's the benchmark sealant in this category, having the history behind it. A few years back, I did some testing with Hydro 2 comparing it to a couple of other spray and rinse sealants, and Hydro 2 at that time was a clear winner in almost every aspect of my testing. But based on my more recent testing, it seems that the competition has definitely caught up. And I need to be honest in saying that there's just not a lot in it, and all the sealants are just so closely matched, which really wasn't the case in the past. However, the single factor that still sets Hydro 2 apart from the competition is that it's the only one that comes as a concentrate, meaning that 1 litre of Hydro 2 equals 7 litres once diluted. And that makes it substantially cheaper than all the other products here, and by far the best value sealant by a long shot. I first tried Gyeon Wet Coat almost 3 years ago, and I have to say that I really wasn't impressed at all. Its water behaviour was okay, but it wasn't very durable at all, nor did it noticeably improve gloss or slickness, and it was rather expensive for what it was. However, I have to say that the new formula is a vast improvement over the old, with far better gloss, slickness, chemical resistance and durability. So I think a little credit is due to the brand for improving on its formulation and putting out a far more competitive product that can now hold its own and really is a nice spray and rinse sealant. One thing I have to say about Bowdens' own Wet Dreams is that it really feels different to all the others, in that it hands down has the easiest and the most flexibility in its application. And if I was constantly working outdoors, especially in warmer climates, this would definitely be my choice. I also like that I can spray and wipe it on with ease, while the others would be so much more work to use in that manner, but it still works just as well in a spray and rinse application. 303 Touchless Sealant is the newest of all the products here, and there's no doubt in my mind that it's a really nice spray and rinse sealant with fantastic levels of gloss and great hydrophobic water behaviour, making it a successful product that I think a lot of people are going to like and enjoy. Though it may also be worth mentioning that it was the most expensive of the bunch. Lastly, Fireball Premium Easy Coat seemed to be a solid performer, doing relatively well in all categories of testing, having no real downfalls, but also displaying nothing to really set it apart from the pack. And although pricing is always going to vary depending on where you live, it was for me one of the more expensive sealants here, so its value does have to be put into question. My overall conclusion is this: if gloss is at the top of your list, I'd steer you towards 303 Touchless Sealant. If slickness, flexibility and ease of application, especially in outdoor environments, is important, I'd suggest Bowdens' own Wet Dreams. And if cost and value, especially for you professional detailers out there, is your main priority, then it's hard to go past Carpro Hydro 2. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video useful. Please like, comment and subscribe to this channel to show support for these videos, and I'll see you guys soon.